A win is a win is a win.
Not how you start necessarily, it's how you finish and how you see growth and the trajectory of growth.
You have guys on the outside that have speed. You have guys on the outside who can run routes.
Hey, what's up, Raider Nation? Welcome to another episode of Upon Further Review, brought to you by Coors Light. I'm your host, Paul Gutierrez. And these are happy days in the streets of Silver and Blackdom. The Raiders' 20-10 victory. It may not have been the get-right win that the team needs to propel them to bigger and better things the rest of the season, but it was the epitome of a get-it-while-you-can kind of win. It ended a 4-game losing streak, and it provided some positive momentum going into that Hornets' nest that is Arrowhead Stadium against that ancient foe, the Kansas City Chiefs, who are starting to look more and more like themselves. But before we get too deep into this thing, let's bring in our friend James Jones to help us break down exactly what we just saw and what the Raiders are walking into. James, great to see you. So quick, right off the bat, knee-jerk reaction. What were your thoughts on how the Raiders looked and how they performed in getting that 20-10 W against the Titans?
Well, number one, all wins are good wins.
Yep.
So, you know what I mean? We can't be choosy. It's all about going out there and getting the W. You know, sometimes they'll look pretty, sometimes they'll look ugly, but it's about finding ways to get W's. To be honest with you, the first thing that jumps out to me is we took the ball away. Played extremely good on defense, got some takeaways, put our offense in some good situations. And we talked about it last week, right? You win the turnover battle, you're going to have a really good chance of winning the football game. And then I just love what we're doing, too, obviously, in the run game, you know, just getting value in the Ash and Genty. But I'm looking at this season right now, and we're gonna have to hang our hats on the defense and run this football and try to keep some of these games close. So, you know, love what I see, and obviously it's a lot to correct and get better on, but, you know, a W is a W.
Yeah, when it comes to the Raiders' defense, like you talked about, winning that takeaway battle, Devin White kind of having a little bit of a career renaissance. And teaser, he's going to be joining us here on the podcast later to talk about a lot of things here. But when it comes to that Raider defense and the challenge that they're going to face with Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs are starting to look like themselves again. The Chiefs lead this all-time series against the Raiders 75-55. The Raiders, though, they seem to have their most success, at least lately, in Kansas City. We saw that game on Christmas Day a couple of years ago. We remember John Gruden's victory bus lap around Arrowhead Stadium a couple of years before that. But the Chiefs, they start 0-2. Now they're 3-3. What are you seeing out of Patrick Mahomes and those guys with what the Raiders are going to face?
Well, I see a quarterback in Patrick Mahomes playing his best football probably in the last couple of years, to be honest with you. Even though they still have been in Super Bowls and they've been winning a lot of football games, the last 2 years, Patrick Mahomes has not played lights out and played extremely good football. You turn on the tape on Patrick Mahomes this year, and Patrick Mahomes is back to the Patrick Mahomes. He is playing lights out. He's making plays with his arms. He's getting outside the pocket. He's making plays with his legs. He's rushing touchdowns. He's making everybody on the field better, what we're used to seeing. Him and Andy Reid, we all know, and Travis Kelce is going to be a tough outing for our defense. So the best thing we can do is get pressure on him. That is what we're going to have to do to get pressure on him, and that's going to be hard. This is not going to be easy. It's going to be hard, but it can be done. This is a division opponent we are familiar with, so we got to get some pressure on him. But the Kansas City Chiefs right now are playing really good football, especially Patrick Mahomes. And then not only that, they're getting healthy. You know, and once you're a team like that, you're going to get Rashee Rice back. That receiver core is going to be stronger, you know. So, you know, it's going to be a tough challenge for us, but we'll be ready.
We're going to see a reunion also of the best of frenemies, Max Crosby and Patrick Mahomes, button heads literally and figuratively in this game. And the weird thing about Patrick Mahomes is he's actually leading the Chiefs in rushing right now, as well as everything he's doing with his arm talent. But he also has a plethora of weapons coming back. They're going to be at full strength. You got Rashee Rice coming back off his 6-game suspension. You've got Xavier Worthy. He's returning to the lineup against Baltimore in late September. Kelce, Worth, Rice, they haven't played together in a game since September 29th, 2024. Let me have you put your receiver hat back on. What does that mean for an offense when you have your entitled allotment of weapons at your disposal?
Well, I mean, number one, it's crucial for Patrick Mahomes because you know you have guys that can win at any time. He trusts Hollywood Brown. He trusts Rashee Rice. Obviously, he trusts Travis Kelce. We've seen him and Juju make a bunch of big-time plays. So when you trust all four of those guys and you have Andy Reid and you're gonna get some one-on-one coverage, it's kind of like pick your poison when you have all that speed coming at you. And I didn't even mention Xavier Worthy. We know what he's capable of doing. So it's going to be a tough task, not just for our defense, but everybody in this league that has to face the Chiefs, especially with them being healthy. And talking to some of them people over there, man, they truly, truly, truly believe that Rashee Rice is that missing piece. The other guy to work underneath with Travis Kelce, and you got speed with Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy to take the tops off. So they've been waiting on him to get back. So you better believe that our eyes better be on number 4, Rashee Rice, when he breaks the huddle, because they're going to want to get him started early and often in this ball game since he's coming back from that suspension.
Yeah, it's going to be the ultimate challenge for this Raiders rebuilt, reimagined defense. But still, through these games here, the Raiders right now, against the Titans, they had 6 sacks, 7 tackles for a loss, the interception. Right now, they are ranked 11th in the NFL in yards allowed in the league. And through the last 3 games, they've only allowed the 5th fewest rushing yards per game. How does that kind of portend for some success on that side of the ball for the Raiders?
Well, that's definitely going to help us because, number one, we know the Chiefs ain't got no run game. Patrick Mahomes is the lead rusher. We're really good on the run. So you got to expect to go into this game, especially getting Rice back, that they're going to be heavy 4 wide with Travis Kelce, and they're going to try to throw this ball all over the yard. But to be honest with you, in games like this, you have to be able to score the football. So the Raiders offense, if we continue to keep going out there and we're not converting on 3rd down and we're not able to score some touchdowns, it's going to be really hard on our defense to keep going back on that field and having to stop Patrick Mahomes and those boys. So offense is going to be key this week too to sustain some drives. You know what I mean? Make sure we're staying on the field, keeping Patrick Mahomes over there, getting pressure on Patrick Mahomes, and then just making them one-dimensional. If you can make them one-dimensional and pass the ball, I think we'll have a really good chance.
And then defensively, they'll stay on the defensive side of the ball. The linebackers, I kind of look at them as the spiritual leaders of the defense. The law firm of White, Adams, and Roberts. I mean, they really are kind of coming together. And I know E-Rob told me a couple weeks ago that he didn't like the term being thrown together because they all have pelts on the wall, so to speak. But when you look at what Devin White's done, like I mentioned, the 9 tackles, the strip sack, the interception. Jamal Adams, he told me after the game that the win was much needed because when you're in those losing streaks, you start to hear the outside turning on you. And then he said inside the locker room, they start questioning things. So when you're talking about this locker room, when you're talking about how these linebackers are keeping it together, how important is that veteran leadership from those guys specifically?
Oh, it's huge. And it's huge, especially in times like this before we got the W. You know what I'm saying? It's very easy to go on a slump and offense ain't playing right and Geno Smith ain't playing right and we're not winning games, and it's easy to point fingers. It's easy to sit there and say, man, maybe we should do this or maybe we should do that or maybe we should do that, instead of having some veterans in there and saying, well, maybe we should just do our job. Because last time I checked, it really don't matter what plays is called and all that. If we execute the plays, it's probably going to be a successful play. So you need some veterans in the locker room like that, always keeping the main thing that's been through highs in this league, that's been through lows in this league, So you definitely need that around, and we have plenty of that. And, we got to tip our hats to them, man. Jamal's playing phenomenal football. White's playing phenomenal football, man. And you talking about playing with a lot of energy, coming down here. Them 2 dudes is delivering. And to be honest with you, I'm really looking forward to seeing, where Jamal is at, because if I know him and I know Pete, he's going to see a lot of 87 this weekend. Travis Kelce, especially being, a faster linebacker that can move and cover.
And that's what's going to be real interesting there too. Is from the linebacker perspective, they're all veterans, but they're all first-year guys with this team, and they're all kind of coming together. Not going to use the phrase "thrown together," but you hear what I'm saying about it. On the offensive side of the ball, though, again, as a former receiver, and I'm not even going to say former, as a receiver, when you look at that Chiefs secondary, it's not necessarily a no-fly zone, but they're doing some things. They've got the 3rd best coverage grade in the NFL per Pro Football Focus. Cook has the 4th best safety grade in the NFL, and they've allowed the 8th fewest total yards through the air allowed. What is that challenge going to be now for this offense, which, again, is still trying to find its identity? Is it a running offense? Is it a passing offense? But you can't be one-dimensional either.
No doubt. Well, first and foremost, before we get to the pass game, we got to identify 95.
Okay.
Because there's a main reason why that secondary is playing at a high level, and that secondary is able to sit on routes and break on routes, and they're able to play. I mean, Spags plays man-to-man 85% of the time because he knows that he has number 95, and that pressure is going to be able to get there. So, number one, we got to protect Geno Smith, and we got to have an answer for their pressure. We have to have quick game. We have to have some screens. We have to be able to slow this pass rush down, because if we don't, it's going to be a long day for us. But if we do and we stay on schedule, we'll be just fine. So, quick game. We got to make sure we pick up their protection, and we got to have some screens and stuff to get this ball into Ashton Genty's hands early and often too.
But even as a receiver, you're not looking forward to going out there and trying to test this. But I know it all starts up front. But as a receiver, what are you feeling from that aspect?
Listen, I'm still open right now. If somebody was to ask me, So as a receiver, we don't really care who's out there. Yep. We walking on the field like we're open. But no, you're going to walk out there. Really, the only strong corner on their team is McDuffie. He's the All-Pro corner. And we have guys on the outside. We have more than one guy on the outside that can get the job done. So, if I was paying my money, I would say McDuffie's going to travel with Jacoby, because Jacoby goes everywhere. He'll travel with Jacoby, and those other guys are going to have to win. But if we protect, I think they're going to be just fine on the outside winning on them routes.
Gotcha. James, as always, great to catch up with you to break down what just happened and to preview what's going to happen. So, James, thanks for stopping by again.
Not a problem. Let's get another W.
All righty, everybody, stay with us. As teased earlier, we've got Devin White. He's going to tell me his history with the Chiefs, the renaissance he's having with the Raiders, and also why he still rocks those shoulder pads from his college days at LSU.
Hey, where's the flags?
Grab one there. You can grab one over there, and get a penalty flag over here. Let me see, up here. There we go. There's one here, and how about here? There's one here. Good reaction. Good reaction.
Meet Max Out. He's a credit wrecker. His eyes are bigger than his wallet. And his credit score pays the price. You see, Max doesn't know he should only use 30% or less of his credit limit, because using his full line can lower his score. Don't be like Max Out. Instead, learn how to avoid the wreckers at creditwreckers.com. Credit One Bank, for what's ahead.
It's game day, the day we've been waiting for. And this is more than just a game. It's a passion, a lifestyle. Here at the Raider Image, you're part of our team. Whether you're in the stands or cheering from home, we've got your back. Feel the confidence, own the game.
We
are the Raider Image. Your game, your gear. Exclusively at the Raider Image.
For the first time ever, step inside Allegiant Stadium on the eve of game day. When the building comes alive, this exclusive 75-minute guided tour gives you a rare access to the final pre-game prep, sound checks, lighting tests, rehearsals, and more. Go beyond the standard experience with behind-the-scenes access to suites, clubs, and areas off limits on regular tour. Hear untold stories of the stadium. Feel the energy of kickoff coming alive, and you might even spot Raider Rusher. This is your all-access pass to game day, before the gates even open.
Here comes Mahomes, trying to find the end zone, and no! How about that? One last indignity. Intercepted by White. 16 seconds from the Thunder. Ward stays on his feet, hit as he throws, and there's picked off. Devin White. What a first half for White. Involved in just about every tackle early in the game. The sack, the forced fumble, and now an interception.
I said it. That's that man. Hey, let's ride it. Let's ride it. Let's ride it. Let's go. Thank you. Hey, you're welcome. Let's go.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Upon Further Review. I'm Paul Gutierrez, joined now by our guest, Devin White. Devin, not a lot of reaction to watching your highlights there, whether it's Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl or last week against the Bears. I mean, what's going on in your mind when you watch Obviously, watching a highlight is different than being in the moment, but
Sure.
but how do you kind of relive something like that?
Man, I just try to stay cool, calm, and collective. At the end of the day, you got to make the play when it's presented to you, and you can't dwell on the past. One thing about me, man, because it can be bad and you can get in your own head, or it can be good and you can stay in the moment too long. So I try to just stay out of it and just live for right now. It's good to see. Very appreciative. God, blessed me with the ability to go make that play, and I was able to capitalize on my opportunity. And that's what I tell guys all the time, man. When your opportunity comes, be ready to jump on it. Because it's the NFL. It's a hard league. It's hard to make big plays, but that's what we got to do. That's what we've been dreaming of doing all our whole life. But when I'm at home, I soak it all in. When I'm with my son, he really knows ball now. I'm 5 years old, so that's when I have my fun with it. But when I'm in the building, it's straight work.
How hard or how easy is that then to stay in the moment? Because it seems like, with the NFL, football especially, it's a very emotional sport. There's lots of highs, lots of lows, especially at linebacker. How do you stay in the moment, though?
I think every day you got to make a choice. You got to make a choice to be consistent. I had that printed a lot of places around my house, on my notebook. Every time I open it up, it's just being consistent. If you be consistent, I think you'll be rewarded. When stuff going bad, when we was losing, I was still in the building at the same time. I was still doing my same preparation because I just know, being consistent, it'll pay off eventually. Like, God will reward those who stay true to him. You know what I'm saying? So just being consistent. So.
Not just being consistent, but being positive.
Oh, for sure.
After we talked after the game in Indianapolis. And you said, "Hey, we could see something. We could see history in the making here.
Yeah.
Go on a run here to get back into some things." And it's one game, but you guys did get the win against the Titans, and you had a monster game. You had the team high 9 tackles, a strip sack, an interception. Again, how do you stay in that moment, but at the same time try to grow and learn from that and use that as kind of a springboard?
For sure. Man, that's the first thing I do is I grade my effort on every play, and I grade my missed assignments. Missed tackles in that game. I had some missed tackles. I wasn't trusting my leverage, with the coverage we was playing, and that's something I got to be better in, And after the game, I can show plenty of texts with my brothers or my mom, like, man, I got to make those. I could have had an even better game. And that's just the standard that I set for myself. Just want to be great, knowing that I can play at a great level, knowing I belong in the league, and knowing that I got my brothers depending on me. And that's the main thing, just knowing that they depending on me. I want to be able to show up for them. But like I told you, man, it's a very hard league to win in, no matter who you playing. But also the story always can be greater than what it is in the moment. And I like to have a positive look on everything because, man, just always gonna just piggyback on our defense, man. We got a really good defense.
Yeah.
And we can play some really good ball. We've been facing a lot of adversity this season. With turnovers or special teams, just stuff not going our way, been put in a lot of bad spots. But we had a positive mindset, been able to overcome the majority of it, been playing real good in the red zone and stopping the run. Every week the emphasis is the same, and I think we're showing up. But just being all new together, we just gonna keep growing, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like, this coaching staff hasn't been here. PG hasn't worked with Coach Pete, and they mixing and matching things up to really find our identity and see who we are, what calls fit us best, what players in the game, how do we get them going. And I just hats off to the coaching staff, man. They spent a reluctant number of hours up here, especially Coach JG, just to get us ready. And I appreciate it, man. I spend a lot of hours up here, but I also watch film at home. And I just want to get better every time I'm in the building.
So it seems like it's going to be it's a learning process, obviously, especially
sure.
when you have a lot of guys coming in first time and it's a new regime and everything like that. But you have some history against the Chiefs yourself. I mean, obviously we saw in the highlight to start, you have the game-sealing interception against Patrick Mahomes. In 3 games against the Chiefs, you've had 12 tackles, 11 tackles, 12 tackles, the interception. You've defended, you've covered Travis Kelce. I'm not going to ask you if you have Taylor Swift on your playlist, but I guess I will now. What is it about the Chiefs and Mahomes that kind of gets you amped up and things like that? Is it just simply going against the best? Now you're in the same division. What gets you going against these guys?
I think the number one thing that get me going is they've been a consistent, great team in the NFL. And if you're a good competitor, you're a great competitor, you want to play the best, and you have to shine when you're going against somebody who's proven over and over that they can get the job done. So that's part of taking that next step, and it just so happened we're in a division with them now. But even when I was in the NFC, we knowing like, hey, if we can get to the Super Bowl, that's possibly who we'll be facing because they consistently get there year in and year out. And, that's just credit to their coaching staff and the organization that they building over there. And that took some time, but they got it down pat. And whatever Mahomes under, he always able to bring it. So, I mean, it's my job as the quarterback of this defense to bring it too. And, on the field, man, I show no mercy. You know, I like my guys over them at any time, and I'm just riding with my guys. I'm not going to brag on them too much because it's about what we do. Right. And if we come in there and we do what we're supposed to do, I think we'll be happy with what we can do against them.
A lot of people would say, especially after this last game you had, that you're kind of having a little bit of a career renaissance. And I remember when we spoke to you in training camp, Pete Carroll said, he's back, Devin's back. And your response was, where was he? Where was I? So how has that journey been for you? As Pete said, you were on top of the world in Tampa Bay. And things didn't quite end the way you wanted there. I know you dealt with a lot of physical things as well as mental things. What was that journey like for you?
I mean, it was very hard. Just being I still call myself a young kid at the time. I'm maturing more into a father. But just being young at the time, having so much success, and then, when things go bad that you never planned on in life, it's some things you can't prepare for. Being a guy that never got hurt in my life and then finally getting hurt when I'm in the biggest year of my career trying to get a new contract, that sucks. How do you deal with that? And on my end, who in my immediate circle have dealt with that before? Nobody. I'm the first to do everything from where I'm from. And, obviously I didn't handle it to the best of my ability, and I learned from it, and I suffered from it. And, I found the good in it. That's just being a firm believer in God. He don't make no mistakes. And obviously that wasn't my journey. That wasn't my destiny. That wasn't the end, and that's cool. I'm okay with that. I was able to find peace with that. And even, as far as just losing my father, going through tough times, not wanting him in my life, then, we overcoming what we was going through and having him in my life and enjoying the mess out of him and then having him taken away from me. Yeah. How do you tell a 24-year-old kid to prepare to be without his father for the rest of his life? On the same day you're getting ready to leave to go to Germany to play Pete Carroll in the Seahawks at the time. Yeah. You don't. Most people go home and live in misery. But, I think I handled that well. I didn't do it. But at the end of the day, I was still coping with a lot, man. I slept a 12-hour flight to Germany. Didn't wake up just under my pillow. I had a cover over my head, just crying, couldn't eat. Got to the hotel and was throwing up, just sad, bro. Just didn't know what to think, didn't know nothing. But I knew, my brothers was my peace and playing football was my peace. So that's how I was able to go out there and play. And, I had a great game, and obviously, like I say, you can't dwell on the past, but I learned from everything that I went through, and I'm able to cope with things better, whether I got, treatment from a mental health person or just, opening up to my family more, not trying to be the strongest in the room, but also, being able to be vulnerable around them and let them help me some. So everything I went through has been a blessing, man. At the end of the day, I wake up every day and I got breath in my body and, God's just blessing me, and that's all I can ask for, man. Other than that, just being able to be back in the, around the game of football, I love it. I feel like he blessed me with a lot of talent, and I need to go out there and show it, for as long as he want me to, will allow me to. And I'm taking advantage of every opportunity, like I said, to the Raider organization, everybody, just thank you. Like, I'm very humbled and very appreciative of this opportunity that I have.
I'm also hearing there's a lot of strength in being vulnerable.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah. It is, man, because a lot of people look at men, especially NFL players, as being tough. And when you got to have strength because you don't want to be the weak guy when you got problems or, you're going through something. But at the end of the day, I learned that you don't have to be the strongest in the room. It's other people stronger than you or as strong as you that you can lean on them, and just being able to get things off your chest also make you feel better, Even our mental health person here, I go in her room and I talk to her from time to time just to get some things off my chest, and she can help me cope with things better. And, we keep it between us, and I think, you leave out the room feeling better. And even if it's not something that's bad, just going in there to talk about the season or how I could be better, how she think I can approach, being a better leader for this organization, what do she see? And, I always just try to find room for growth, Every day we wake up, just find room to be better.
How important is that for you to get that message out then to fans and young people or anybody, I guess, that mental health is almost, if not, as important as physical health?
Oh, yeah, mental health is very real. You got to take advantage of it, man. And that's the hard thing. It can come in all forms and walks. Even being a football player, you get on there, people post comments on social media all day, not knowing that they targeting and could be triggering a real human being, and they don't care what they say, and that's why, I'm not so quick to judge others. I don't go to nobody's job and, kind of really talking down on them because they didn't do it right. It's hard. You know, it's hard to wake up and do something. Even you know, putting on your clothes and having to be here early and come do this, finding the right things to say and, you know, getting your message across and dealing with different people every day. It's not an easy job to do, but, you know, I applaud you. You get up and do it every day to the best of your ability. So that just goes with everything, you know. So I just say put your mental health and put yourself first sometimes. And, you know, for more people, if they don't do it, just get closer to God. And I think he'll help see you through anything that you're going through, and he won't never leave you.
Devin, you've also mentioned the importance of family, too. And I know at one point when you were really down, your mom actually told you, hey, go ahead and stop. You can quit if you want, but you didn't. You got family here in this locker room. I don't know if a lot of Raider fans realize your cousin is DCAM, Richardson, cornerback. How often do you guys lean on each other for that, or is it still kind of a little bit of a, not sibling rivalry, but a family rivalry in that locker room?
Nah, man, we always together. We spend a lot of time out the building, in the building together, and I just want the best for him. And obviously, I've been through a lot of things, and I can see where, you know, he heading, the way he prepared, and I can just be that extra vice, that extra tool for him. I be on him real hard, and I try not to be, but, man, I want the best for him. You know, I love his life, you know, as is my own. Like, that's my real blood cousin, and, you know, even being on this team together, just, you know, being so far from home. Like, if you type in where we from on the map, it's a 24-hour drive, and that's without stops. So I think it's brought us even closer together, you know, and I know our family proud of us, and, you know, we just want to keep going and just show people where we from that, you know, you can make a way, you know, being from a small town, and you can really have fun and live out your dreams. So, man, I'm just appreciative. You know, that's another big reason why I came here, man. That's kind of like, was kind of pretty cool. I know for my grandfather to see, you know, his mom, my mom, you know, my dad, he didn't get to see it, but I know he watching down on us, and it's a good feeling, you know. I enjoy being out here, just enjoying Vegas right now. It's a great city, you know. It has a lot to offer, and I enjoy it.
Well, and you also strike me as a guy that doesn't forget where he came from. The LSU pads.
Oh, for sure.
What does that mean for you and other guys in the league that are doing? I mean, is this kind of a thing, or just kind of?
I think it shows a sign of brotherhood. You know, just we pride ourselves on being like NFL, LSU, just having a lot of great players come out of there, and I think that sticks out. And even for me, it's about comfort. You know, being comfortable. And I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, every year they just update my pattern just to make sure I'm on schedule with the NFL coordinates, and I keep going. You know, I don't feel like there's no reason for me to change. They work. You know, I don't believe in knocking on wood and them, but I have a lot of success rate, you know, with what it protects, and I'm gonna just keep it going till I can't no more. You know, obviously, if it's a time to move on, I will. But right now, I enjoy it, and it's really a pride thing, you know, for the state of Louisiana. You know, that I'm still represent, you know, where I come from, and when I put those pads on before I go out there and play every game.
Well, we'll see if, hopefully, for Raider fans' perspective, that Travis Kelce feels those pads.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
So,
for sure.
Devin, thanks again for stopping by. I know you got to get ready for the Chiefs this weekend, but thanks for stopping by. And don't go anywhere. We've got Cynthia Frelund coming up next with her numbers to know.
This fall, history hits the Strip. It's the first annual Las Vegas HBCU Classic. Saturday, October 25th at the iconic Allegiant Stadium. Grambling State University goes head-to-head with Jackson State University on the football field. But it's more than a game. It's a celebration of HBCU culture and the ultimate Vegas energy, all weekend long. Get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com and be part of history in the making.
It's game day. The day we've been waiting for. And this is more than just a game. It's a passion, a lifestyle. It's time to suit up, Raider Nation. This is Raiders football, where we all bleed silver and black. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. Here at the Raider Image, you're part of our team. Every hat, every piece of gear. Let your loyalty show out. Whether you're in the stands or cheering from home, we've got your back. Feel the confidence, own the game.
We
We
are the Raider Image. Your game, your gear. Exclusively at the Raider Image.
A win is a win is a win.
not how you start necessarily, it's how you finish and how you see growth and the trajectory of growth.
You have guys on the outside that have speed. You have guys on the outside who can run routes.
Hey, welcome back to Upon Further Review, and like every week, joined by Cynthia Frelund, our resident mathematician, predictive analyst. And Cynthia, I didn't want to step on any toes here, but when I was doing some homework here looking at Ashton Jeanty, despite what seemed like a pretty bad start to his NFL career, a lot of fans, a lot of haters would say that, he is still on pace to rush for over 1,200 yards as a rookie. Besides his stance changing, going back to that straight-up Michael Myers stance now that it's spooky season, what are you seeing out of Ashton where he looks like right now?
I think he's adjusted to the speed of the NFL, adjusted to what's being asked of him. You know, it's hard to learn a new offensive system for anyone. And I don't think it's difficult when you're getting hit behind the line of scrimmage to be able to adjust and understand where your rushing lanes are and how to get the most out of every down. So I think what's happening here is we're finally seeing, all the ththings come together despite circumstances that are extremely hard. So we're seeing an elite level player rise to his, potential eliteness right now. And it's, again, he didn't have the most favorable circumstances to come into, and he's now just figuring out how to make the most out of his elusiveness and his ability to force missed tackles.
Beyond the raw numbers of coming off a career high in carries against the Titans, 23, 75 rushing yards with a rushing touchdown, he's also, right now in the league, he's second best in forced missed tackles. And that's something that you can't really teach, can you?
I mean, I would love to be able to teach it because then you could turn people into better players. But I think a lot of that has to do with, well, one, your ability to move laterally. That's something that I don't know if some people are. I don't have that many quick twitch muscle fibers, but some people can move laterally versus others. Others, it's about your center of gravity, how low you can stay while you're running, where someone hitting you straight on versus hitting you to the side. You can imagine how it's much harder if someone hits you more straight on than if they hit you when you're only maybe just your shoulder or just a limb versus in the cylinder of your body. So I think a lot of those things have to do with, one, his ability to his youth, his ability to move laterally, but also his ability to be able to see and have that vision to know where he can run to put himself in the best situation to be slippery like that.
How big of an opportunity do you think it is going against a Kansas City run defense that is, I guess, mid at best? They're about 19th, 20th ranked against the run. I mean, you see the potential here for a big game. Obviously, it all kind of depends upon them not being one-dimensional. But what are you seeing for the opportunity for him?
Yeah, I think the thing we saw in the first half with the Lions was there are certainly rushing opportunities available to opponents of the Chiefs defense this year. It's different compared to what we're usually with the Chiefs. You're they're not missing tackles, they're not whatever. It's a bit different. But Leo Chenal had a nice second half. They adjusted well. So I think part of it is, number one, coming off to a strong start for him, and number two, making those adjustments when we know invariably that Steve Spagnuolo will have a little extra juice, something for plan B, C, or D when it comes to the second half as well.
So if that's the preliminary bout, the main event here is going to be the battle of the frenemies, the best of frenemies, Max Crosby versus Patrick Mahomes. And from headbutting each other to talking trash to Patrick saying that he's actually the best pass rusher that he's ever gone against. What are you looking forward to the most in that matchup? Because it's weird. It's quarterback versus defensive end. They're not going head up. Max still has to get through two or three people to get to him. But what does that matchup do for you?
Well, the cool part about last week was that we saw how the Raiders can get pressures from, a lot of different people. 9 different defenders notched at least one pressure. Of course, Max had an awesome day, but that's kind of the same thing we're going to see because the Chiefs, they played a lot of heavier personnel formations. They played the fewest amount of snaps in 11 personnel, 3 wide receiver sets last week, and they're going to keep it heavy against Max Crosby. They're going to try to chip him. They're going to keep a tight end against him. They're going to do all the things because they don't want that to happen. Right? See what's going on the screen? They don't want that to happen to Patrick Mahomes. So I think it will be interesting to see because Max always has a great game against the Chiefs. This is what makes rivalries so great. Patrick, they wouldn't talk trash if both of them weren't elite, right? So ultimately, what I'm looking for is, can the rest of the guys help Max have just even a little bit extra time? He doesn't need a lot. but just like one more, like a titch, like 0.25 seconds, something crazy like that. But you're going to have to do it against heavier personnel formations, because I'm still confused what's going on with some of their offensive line, who's playing and who's not this week, because there were switches last minute and they don't seem to be addressed yet this week. So I don't even know who's playing yet, but I know they're going to try to double or triple Max Crosby.
But when they do go up against each other, this much is true. Again, I'm delving into some stat territory here with you.
I love it.
Max Crosby has the most sacks of Patrick Mahomes than anybody else in Patrick Mahomes' career, with 6. So again, they know each other. And they know enough to not like each other, I guess, is the point. But again, if you're chipping and you're doing these other things, I mean, it's something that numbers can't even describe, this relationship between the two of them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think part of what is interesting is what happens for the rest of the offense when you're devoting resources to stopping Max, right? So are you going to have the ability to, get those? They used a lot of targeting the linebacker level last week against the Lions. They targeted the linebacker level and relied on Yak. Now, Rashee Rice will be back, so maybe a bit will be different. But if you're devoting many resources, like a tight end, to be able to stop Max, then will you have that as available to you, or will you have to look for deeper levels, something that we have seen a little bit more inconsistencies with the Chiefs?
So again, one last thing about Max, he leads the league in pass rush snaps, so nothing new to him. But what I want to get from you, though, now is what your number to know is coming into this game, because this is always kind of my favorite part of this segment, just trying to think of it from a different perspective. What's your number to know when it comes to the Raiders against the Chiefs?
So I'm going to say 170, because that's the number of yards that Jared Goff had against the zone for the Chiefs. So he had 2 passing touchdowns. He had a super high completion percentage. But when he targeted quick passes, so I think it was a very low 2.9 air yards per attempt, like the fourth lowest of his career. But the number of yards and the efficiency when he was doing that, quick passes, stay away from the Chiefs' pressure, zone looks. Anytime they give him zone, then Gino's going to want to take advantage the same way that Jared Goff took advantage last week of the Chiefs' ability to give them some space. Working in some space will always work better for you, and higher probability passes, less of an opportunity to turn the ball over.
Always better said than done, I guess, from the Raiders.
Easier said than done, for sure.
Yeah. So, but again, something that the Raiders really need to do, and we'll talk about that at length over the weekend, I'm sure. Cynthia, as always, when we get done talking, I feel like I'm ready for some. I'm going to keep coming up with some numbers of my own and just maybe try to impress.
I love it. Listen, come on in. The water's great. The water's great over here. And by the way, way to get the Titans coach fired, guys. I mean, geez, Louise, Yeah. Hey, sometimes you just have to. Sometimes you have to just exert your will.
I guess the number there is 20-10. Coach fired. That's the score. Cynthia,
That's right.
As always, thank you for joining us. On October 25th, Allegiant Stadium will host the inaugural Las Vegas HBCU Classic, featuring 2 storied football programs in Grambling State University and Jackson State University. The Raiders are no strangers to HBCU players, and their programs going all the way back to the legendary Al Davis.
In the American Football League, we had some young people who never saw color as an obstacle for someone to be able to play. We went into many of the predominant black schools to take a lot of the players. We called it an untapped reservoir. We certainly here with the Raiders fulfilled many of our dreams with truly great players out of those small black schools.
Clem Daniels, the hard-running halfback from Prairie View A&M.
1968, we drafted Eldridge Dickey, a very talented quarterback out of Tennessee State, an all-black school. Art Shell, a third-round draft choice out of Maryland State Eastern Shore.
On a bomb. I had him picked up. I thought he was in pretty good shape. It was the other side.
Remember going to Grambling, Willie Brown, who's Hall of Fame defensive back, and these were unbelievable talent sources.
Old Man Willie, touchdown Raiders!
And so the American Football League did become a proving ground for great players of other minorities. Some of the clubs in the American Football League deserve great credit for breaking what I call the color line throughout the country. We were destined for greatness in this Raider organization, and they contributed to it. We're proud of that. We always will be proud of that, and we hope that that's one legacy we leave.
Another source of pride for Al Davis and the Raiders, when they first played an exhibition game in Las Vegas in the late 1960s, they wouldn't come here unless the black players were allowed to stay in the same hotel as the white players. Another feather in the cap for Al Davis in his search for diversity. So, get your tickets for the inaugural Las Vegas HBCU Classic featuring Grambling State University versus Jackson State University on Saturday, October 25th. It's more than just a game. It's a celebration of HBCU culture and the ultimate Las Vegas energy. For more information surrounding ticketing, travel packages, and all festivities happening all weekend long, visit AllegiantStadium.com. Well, that'll do it for this week's edition of Upon Further Review. Many thanks to our guests, James Jones, Devin White, and Cynthia Frelund, for helping us break down Sunday's win against the Titans while previewing this weekend's game against the Chiefs. Stay up to date on all things silver and black. Check out our shows. You've got Raiders Roundtable on Mondays with JT the Brick and the Hall of Famer Eric Allen. Talk of the Nation on Wednesdays with Baron Davis. The Silver and Black Show on Thursdays with Amber Theo Harris, and Raiders Game Day with Amber in the host seat, joined by Eric Allen and James Jones. Check it all out on YouTube channel and go to Raiders.com for more content.